Alright, let's dive into the shadow realm of the Colombian drug trade. And the man that made Coke more mainstream than Coca-Cola itself, Pablo Escobar. Now I know, everybody already knows about Pablo Escobar and his multi-billion-dollar cocaine empire. I mean, Netflix made like 3 shows on this guy. Talk about beating a dead horse. No, what I'm gonna do is take an exploration into the criminal psychology of the most legendary drug lord on this side of reality. Pablo Escobar's criminal profile is a fascinating and intricate case study that encompasses a myriad of psychological factors and behavioral dynamics. See, Escobar exhibited a pronounced narcissistic personality, marked by an inflated self-image, a constant need for admiration, and a lack of empathy. His self-assuredness and charisma allowed him to establish and maintain a powerful criminal empire. Pablo wasn't just your garden-variety narcissist, he was the kingpin of narcissists. He'd walk into a room, and you'd think he was the second coming of Jesus, but instead of spreading the words of God to the world, he was peddling white powder that could turn you into a human jet engine. Now the Machiavellian tendencies in Escobar's personality were evident in his strategic thinking and manipulative behavior. He was a master strategist who employed cunning tactics to achieve his criminal objectives. This guy didn't just play chess, he played three-dimensional chess with real-life pawns. Pablo was like a puppet master, pulling strings and manipulating people from politicians to pop stars. He had this knack for making you believe he was your best friend while plotting to poison the $1,000 steak he just got you. A solid example of this is how he built homes and fed the hungry in Medellin, and took on other charities with the blood money from his cocaine empire, while at the same time running for political office. In his eyes, he was the hero saving his people. And then there was the psychopathy, oh boy, the glorious psychopathy. He made Hannibal Lecter look like a middle schooler. He didn't just eliminate his rivals, he obliterated them, leaving no stone unturned and no mercy spared. It's like if Freddy Krueger decided to take up a day job as a drug lord. His orchestration of assassinations, bombings, and other violent acts demonstrated a disregard for the suffering he caused and a capacity for violence without guilt or empathy. Mayhem was his masterpiece, and he was Picasso. But let's not forget his obsession with power and control. It's one thing to have a nice car or a fancy house, but Pablo wanted to own the whole neighborhood, the city, and the country. He'd bribe politicians left and right, and if that didn't work, he'd threaten them with a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Imagine having the power to make politicians dance like marionettes at a puppet show. That was Pablo's daily routine. His pursuit of dominance extended beyond the drug trade. He aimed to influence politics and evade extradition. The drive to control people, institutions, and entire regions was a defining aspect of his criminal career. Now the paranoia and fear, that's where things get downright Shakespearean. Escobar's deep-seated paranoia and fear were notable in his behavior. This paranoia contributed to his elaborate security measures and attempts to eliminate perceived threats. Picture this guy holed up in his luxurious prison, La Catedral, surrounded by walls of money. But even there, he couldn't escape the fear that someone was out to get him. He turned his prison into a 5-star hotel, complete with hookers, drugs, and gourmet chefs, all in the name of self-preservation. It's like saying, I'm scared for my life, but I'll take a massage and a mojito, thanks. Escobar's motivations were multifaceted, and his actions reflected contradictory objectives. He portrayed himself as a benefactor of the poor while simultaneously engaging in criminal activities that wreaked havoc on Colombian society. His motivations were as complex as a soap opera plot. On one hand, he's blowing up airplanes and causing chaos. On the other, he's building schools and hospitals for the poor. He's like a drug lord with a split personality, part villain, part philanthropist. It's like saying, I'll rob Peter to pay Paul, but I'll also buy Peter a new house. Now the high-risk behavior, that's the icing on the cake. Escobar made Stevo look like a guy who played it safe. He escaped from prison not once but twice, like it was a game of hide and seek. He'd pull off assassinations like it was a walk in the park, leaving a trail of destruction that even Godzilla would envy. His family tree had more criminal branches than jails had prison cells. Growing up in that kind of environment, it's like being born into a crime-themed board game. You roll the dice, and the next thing you know, you're in the drug trade. It's like having a crime is cool poster on your bedroom wall. The biggest thing that enabled him was where he was born. Colombia had more holes in its law enforcement net than a slice of Swiss cheese. When you don't have enough cops to patrol the streets, it's open season for criminals. Not to mention they were all corrupt and took bribes, so Escobar decided to buy them all. But here's the thing, folks, despite all the madness, chaos, and destruction he caused, there's something oddly captivating about Pablo Escobar. He's like that car crash you can't look away from, a complex, contradictory character who defies easy categorization. That's all. Subscribe for more.